name's Kathy Dunham, 181 Continental Avenue.
Good evening, Kathy.
I've been a resident of River Edge since the age of 4. My parents were very smart to move here, and I since haven't left. I have to say that John and the DPW does an outstanding job. As you can see, I'm a member of the ambulance corps. Countless times, because I live on Continental, I have followed a plow to a call.
Right.
Last year during the snow, I got to the building and felt the snow was too high. One phone call to the police department, 2 plows were there making sure that we could get out.
Right.
That will not happen with a contractor. I came here thinking you were trying to eliminate 4 positions. And I can tell you, I'm in the unique position that I work from my home. I'm home all the time. Everybody that knows me knows I'm a nosy neighbor, and I'm constantly checking out what's going on outside. And I can guarantee you that these guys are working. I see them go to gas all the time. I see them constantly working in the park. And I think you're really taking for granted what a wonderful town we have. I don't think you're appreciating it, and I'm very, very disappointed. I'm sorry I lost my bid for council, because I would like to be sitting up there, because I would not be doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Kathy. Is there anybody else who wishes to be heard? The gentleman all the way in the back.
Christopher Weissman, 785 Millbrook Road. Madam Mayor and Council, while we're here to discuss and observe the possible undertakings of outsourcing services for the borough, I'd like to have some time to speak and introduce myself. My name is Christopher Weissman. I've been a borough mechanic, and I would be affected by the outsourcing. I've been a resident of the borough for 20 years. I moved here in 1991. I've been employed for the borough of River Edge since 1994, starting my 18th year of dedicated service with the Department of Public Works this February. I started as a laborer, was promoted to position of Mechanic 2 and then Mechanic 1. While my responsibilities, some of my responsibilities are the police car fleet, I also maintain 3 fire chief's vehicles, 1 fire official's vehicle, Administration 1, 2 senior buses, various public works trucks, including the supervisor vehicles, tree equipment, lawn equipment, and any other equipment I am tasked to maintain. 18 years of blemish-free, dedicated service. I have volunteered to keep this town safe for 20 years as a member of the River Edge Fire Department. 18 of those years as an officer, rising through the ranks of Chief of Department in 2008-2009. 20 years of dedicated service to the town. This is my wife, Heidi. She's a resident of the borough for all of her life. She has worked at Palmer Brothers for 35 years, lifelong parishioner of Grace Lutheran Church. This is my daughter, Marina, an honor student with Riverdale, also a parishioner of Grace Lutheran Church. The possible loss of my position due to outsourcing would affect my entire family and my life within the borough that I have proudly served in both departments. I just want you, Madam Mayor, and the council to be aware of these facts, and thank you for my time.
Thank you, Chris. And by the way, your daughter has a lovely, lovely singing voice. I have to comment. Okay, thank you. Okay, Bob, and then I'm going back to the. I'm not going to forget you. I will come back to you. Bob, go ahead.
Mayor, as the town engineer for many years now, working with before John Pastrella, and then when John Lynch took over, seamless. Working, I would say, on a day-to-day basis, if there's any problems with any of the infrastructure, sewers, roads, catch basins, the stuff that most people don't even think about, absolutely seamless. So I just heard about this tonight when I was walking in and got actually handed a t-shirt as I walked in. But this is a very, very unique group of individuals. And working in other communities, like yourself, that I see other communities and how they operate. You cannot put this one in the same light as some of the other communities in Mercer County.
Thank you,
I
Bob.
want you to think about that. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Okay, there was a gentleman over here who kept raising his hand, and I told him he would be next. Yes, please.
Tim McCain, 136 Continental Avenue. Summary, our DPW is the best. I'm a 32-year resident of River Edge. It is the best DPW in Bergen County, hands down. Here's a question. Retort, how much are we going to save? And if we save, what service do we lose? You lose control, first off. You probably are not going to save anything. What's worse, we have a nice community. Many times as we've discussed, my wife and I moving, we always decided to stay because River Edge is small, community, not a Paramus, it's not a Ridgewood, it's not monstrous, it's a nice little town, it's well run. DPW is part of that well run part. and you can't change it. We have another option. We have something called recall. We can recall any elected official. We can do that anytime we want to. So let them go ahead and do what they want. We'll just recall and change it back.
Thank you. Anybody else? Excuse me, let's not stop talking until I get everybody heard. Yes, please. I'd like everybody to have the opportunity to speak.
My name is Jim Kenny, 240 Continental Avenue. I'm here on behalf of the swim club. We can't say too much about what John has done about snow removal at the swim club, but he and his group certainly have come in and bailed us out on many occasions, and pretty much everything I had to say has been said here already. And only one thing to add: if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else who wishes to be heard? Somebody I have not called on. This young lady here, then there's a gentleman in the back, and then there's the chief. Go ahead.
Okay, Terry Bromine, 739 Center Avenue. Usually when you talk about changing, it's because of complaints. But all I ever hear about the DPW is good things. After every snowstorm, after the affairs at the park. So I don't understand why they would even think about it.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, and the gentleman all the way in the back?
Yeah, Mike Marion, 163 Greenway Terrace. I was at DPW, retired 2010. I was 38 years with the DPW, 22 in the supervision capacity. This group of guys is one of the best group of guys that I've worked with in the 38 years that I worked there. Dedicated, know what they're doing and stuff like that. And I know my job was eliminated. One of the other gentlemen retired last September. Sweeper operators retiring in September. One DPW worker was let go. There's nobody could be here to work. I know during the winter, John brought me in as help plow the snow, and because now they got the equipment, but they don't have the guys. My girlfriend lives up in Oradell, and I spend a lot of time up there. During the big snowstorms, their streets are terrible. You know, you have to take your snow blowers, go out 5 feet into the street, you know, to get it, and they're just, they've always done, River Edge, all the years that I worked there, we always did more work than the other boroughs. New Milford, Oradell, we always had a sidewalk program, we always picked up our own recycling, all tree work and stuff like that. So anything that you're trying to do or whatever, you know, you're just not going to have the personnel to keep on going.
Thank you, Mike.
John and I have gotten along great all the times we've been working together.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, and we have the chief of police.
Tom Curdy, Chief of the River Edge Police Department. I've been a police officer here in River Edge for 27 years now, and in all that time, the close relationship the police departments have with the road department, it can't be emphasized enough. We can't do our emergency service without the road department to keep the roads clear for us to get through to the calls that we need. They've made areas in town priorities for snow removal, such as the schools, which allow the schools to be open so the kids can get to class safely, that the crosswalks are cleared. Also, you can't look at any one of their job responsibilities in a vacuum. It has to be looked at as a whole. It's not just leaf collection or just snow removal or just vehicle repair, but the fact that they can do those things interchangeably. In the middle of a point in time when the borough mechanic may be working on leaves or recycling, and I have a vehicle that's out of service on an emergency basis, I do nothing more than give John a call, and the mechanic can be reassigned from a function he's already been moved to, such as collecting leaves or recycling, and put one of our vehicles back into use again. So without that cooperation of effort between the departments, and without an understanding of how much they contribute to the emergency end, as well as regular maintenance of the properties in town, I don't think any decision can be properly considered.
Thank you, Chief. Is there anyone else who wishes to be heard? Young lady over here, and then this lady.
The Stewart, 170 South Avenue. I'm on the Shade Tree Commission, and ever since John took over, we've seen a huge difference in the work in the DPW and what I can talk about is the trees. I can give you numbers actually that prove that outsourcing, at least in that part, does not work. And if you looked at Paramus recently, they tried to outsource just for grass clipping. And what they did is put out 72 properties with a bid and got 3 responses from contractors, and only 1 actually bid on it. And they bid, I think it was $120,000 for only 17 of the properties. And that was using prevailing wages, which is $52.75, which is just for grounds maintenance. And I'm sure that's more than what we pay. And our grounds crew does more than just grounds maintenance. As far as trees go, we do approximately 150 removals a year. And if you approximate about $800 a tree, which would be an average between a large and a small tree, that's just $120,000 right there, just for removal. That's not with prevailing wages either. Yearly pruning, our tree crew pretty much goes through the entire town throughout a year, but if you do half of that, at $140 a tree, which again is not prevailing wages, that's $315,000. So those two added up is about $500,000 just for trees. You could probably cover most of the department for that. So outsourcing in that respect is not going to work. When you have some good quality work being done in town, outsourcing doesn't work. If you have bad work and you have something not getting done, then that's when outsourcing works. So the other things you should think about is we have some properties behind residents that need access. And do you want someone who's outsourced going into your backyard? You don't know them. Are there background checks being done on their employees? Do they speak English? Can you communicate with them? Are they going to work the same hours from 7 to 3? Or are they going to work till 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night? You know, do we want that kind of work going on in town? Are we going to inspect their equipment to make sure it's safe? And in a storm, we had a big storm about a year ago, and our tree crew was out there and cleared it immediately. That would have cost us $100,000 easily, if the work was going to get done at all. So those are some really important things to think about. I don't think we're going to have any cost savings at all. We'd be spending more.
Thank you, Liz. This young lady here.
I love those guys. I'm gonna tell you. I live in this town for almost 45 years.
Can you please give me
815 Kinderkamak Road.
Thank you.
River
And can you
Edge.
spell your last name, please?
Majoris. Lourdes Majoris.
Lourdes Majoris.
I love these people. I bake for them because I love them. So, I don't know if I love you guys. I don't know. My husband is 80 years old. I am 70. Okay? I love the way they go and play my stuff.
Great.
My street is terrible. Cobblestone is the only house there.
Right.
And they do a great job. And I hope I can keep baking for them.
Thank you very much. Okay, and we have Tom?
Thank you, ma'am. Tom Smith, 288 Manning Avenue, River Edge. Everybody's been talking about the things that they do, and certainly that's the most important thing, is because that's what we as residents see. The other part of that is, how did we get there? In 1977, there was either 24 or 25 DPW employees. Today, there's around 19, I believe is the number. Okay? In order... 15. 15. No, county management.
Okay, guys.
19. All right. With that in mind, what they did, how did they do that? And how did they do that and not reduce the amount of service to the residents? It wasn't by accident. It was a plan designed and put in place by John Lynch and by his supervisors and his men. He could not have done it by himself, nor could the men have done it by themselves. They took recycling, which was a cumbersome process that we used to use where everybody had to do their own source separating with this trailer, and it was picked up, and we brought it back to the yard, and then we stored it there, and then we had to reload it again onto trucks and take it to market. John introduced the commingling. He also had the councils approve buying the large packer trucks, which gave us the ability to put the materials from the residents' garbage barrels right into the trucks, right to market. Not only do we get more money in recycling revenue, we reduce the cost of garbage, because a lot of people are throwing that recycling away into garbage, $68,000 a year just by that single operational change in recycling. Okay? The budget, the operating budget, if you look back for DPW, one of the things John did is 5 years ago, he said, I will not ask you for summer help any longer. $180,000 has been saved in the last 5 years by not having summer help. John worked out the schedule, vacation schedules. The work got done by the existing manpower. Also, some of the things that you can't count on when you make a plan is the federal stormwater regulation that came into effect, where now the DPW has to clean every storm drain every year. They have to go down, they gotta open it, they gotta clean it out, they gotta suck it out, and then they gotta put those bars and other things on. If there's anything wrong with them, they have to rebuild them, also part of the stormwater regulation. And during the leaf season, they can't have leaves laying over those storm drains for any period of time. I'm not sure of this, I think it's 5 days, might be a little longer than that. But DPW has to get that out of there, otherwise there's violations that potentially could come forward for that. Every part of the plan that John put into place, and his men and his supervisors, is working, and it's working well for the borough, whether it's snow plowing. You'd have everybody talk about snow plowing. As a member of the fire department, many years, I've spent time down at company number 2 on standby, but there have been years when the snow wasn't so heavy that we had standby, but I was at home, and I felt comfortable because I knew when I got in the car, the roads would be clear enough for me to get there and get to the building and get the apparatus out for our residents. During the storms, 2-3 years ago now, 100 and some odd trees came down, wires were down, towns across Bergen County were in a disaster. This DPW got River Edge back up and running in less time than anybody else. We had to use some outside vendors for those trees that hit the house, but every other tree, every other cutting branch, every other mulching, everything that had to be done and cleaned, this DPW did. It will be a large disservice to take these dedicated men and women and look to an outside vendor to do something that they would care less if they did it effectively or efficiently. Please do not look penny wise and pound foolish on this. Our 2007 budget, in relationship to our 2011 budget, our 2011 budget is $21,000 less on the operating side. So I would implore the mayor and the council to, as you go forward, and Mayor, I heard you say that you haven't made any decisions, but in little towns like River Edge, these things get churned up pretty quick. And I think it would be very important for all of you to understand that this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's many people in River Edge who feel that the DPW is an integral part of living here and having the quality of life that they want here.
Thank you, Tom. And I'm going to ask the people who are outside, is there anyone there who has not had a chance to talk? If there is anyone there who wants to talk, please come in a little bit so that we can hear you when you give your name and address. Name and address, please.
Tom Schick Jr., 283 Howland Ave. Everyone, I worked at summer help for 2 summers at the DPW, and it was probably one of the 2 best summers of my life. I learned so much from these guys. I met some lifelong friends, and you know what? These guys treated me with respect, but I was just a snot-nosed little kid. My father's been working there for somewhere near 30 years, and the DPW has been the backbone of this family. All these guys have been the backbone of my family, and they've been the backbone of this town for as long as I can remember. Those ball fields that I played on when I was a kid were maintained by these guys, and they made it perfect. They maintained all the parks, all the streets. The 4th of July parade's beautiful because these guys make sure that road is beautiful before that parade. So before you think of privatizing, think about how beautiful this town is and how unique this town is. And it's because of these gentlemen right here.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who has not been heard who wishes to speak? Okay? All right. You've been heard. You've been heard too. Is it on a different topic? Different topic, because everybody has been saying the same thing. Something different. Different?
Something different, yes.
Go ahead.
Peggy White, 741 Center Avenue. It's not different because it's not the DPW. What is different is the fact that I do hear in town some people say things against the DPW, like my street doesn't get cleaned and my street doesn't get plowed and so on and so forth. And it's not the fault of the DPW, it's the fault of the people who leave their cars in the street and don't cooperate when they've been told 100 times, get the cars off the street if you want that to be clean, if you want it to be done. So if you hear that complaints against the DPW, that's about the only ones you're gonna hear.
Great.
And it's not really the DPW's fault.
Thank you, Peg. Somebody else when you have something different. Okay, different.
Something.
Go ahead, come on, Ray. Name and address again, please.
Okay, Ray Stitz, 210 Mohawk Drive. Down on Kincaid, near where you're putting the, county for, you're dedicating the, property to put the traffic light in.
Right.
On your eastern side of Kincaid, you have that big piece of parcel property.
Yeah.
What's gonna be going in there?
Somebody had come in about a year ago saying they wish to, develop that, but they have never come back. And, we're just trying to find out exactly what's happening there.
Okay, cause like, the rumors go, if they ever wanna put senior citizen housing there and
Yeah.
you have to be very careful.
Oh, yes,
Because if they get FHA funding,
yeah,
no matter how of a good buddy that guy is to the town,
yeah,
if he doesn't have enough seniors, he can put Section 8 housing in
Right.
there, and there's nothing you
Right.
you can't stop him.
right.
If he's got FHA funding, he can put, welfare, people in there,
Right.
people that have a lot of special needs. So I know we want to develop the property, but,
Right.
after a couple things that happen in town between the property next to the school and the American Legion, let's do some due diligence next time. I mean, we do it when we buy a house, but it seems like the mayor and council have been blind to that the last couple of years.
It's a different council now.
You're not good.